if you notice, I don't have my co-host here, or co-pilot, co-author, Gregory L. Harris. Unfortunately, he had something to do. Well, that's what we tell you, but really he wanted too much money. And the budget wasn't in there, which goes along to what we're talking about today, Financial Literacy 101. As you know, I'm a teacher, and the curriculum has changed over the years to where now it is required that all students take a course in banking and finance to address the topic of financial literacy. That's one of the 21st century skills. So today I thought, well, I have an accountant. Why not talk to them? And so they have graciously come down to speak with us and give us some more information on how we can become more financially literate. So stay tuned, don't go away, get some pencil and paper, because you will want to hear this. Welcome back. And as I said before, we have two great guests, my accountants, who have come all the way down to speak with us about financial literacy. So I would like to introduce you all to Mr. John Taylor and
Veronica.
Mr. Don Kostka. They are the founders or creator. You own your own company.
Yes.
And it's called Kostka Taylor LLC CPAs. And they're awesome. Okay, I've been with them forever. Wow, when did we first meet?
Early 90s.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, going back quite a while ago when you were probably just beginning teaching.
Right, I was probably, or I'd probably just, well, put it this way, I was with a certain person who referred me to you.
That is correct.
And that person, I'm very grateful for that recommendation. So, because we've been together ever since.
Yes. Quite a long time.
Yes, quite a long time. And Mr. Kostka, I haven't worked with you directly, but I know that you're his business partner, and I've seen you, and we've had polite conversation here and there. But I mean, I love you guys, the way you take care of me. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself, like how long you've been in the business, so forth and so on?
Sure. Don and I first met in 1979 where we worked together. We went our own ways for about 10 years, and then in 1989, Don got the idea to go out on his own and gave me a call in August of '89. We shook hands, and as of September 1st of '89, it formed Kostka Taylor, and haven't looked back. So.
You know, it's funny, whenever anybody mentions the year to be 1989, I will always equate that with the year that Seton Hall lost to Michigan in the NCAA final. It was heartbreaking because I ended up going to Seton Hall, so I was just like, wow. And actually, I was actually out of the country. I lived overseas at that point. But so anytime you mention that year, I'm just like, wow.
Well, we do have that in common also, because I got my graduate degree from Seton Hall.
Yes. And Mr. Kostka, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been a CPA for a little bit over 30 years. I hold a CFP designation also. And as John said...
Oh, for our audience, what does CFP mean?
Certified Financial Planner.
Okay.
And as John said, we've been together for 27 years, the firm. Approaching our 30th year, which we look forward to. And we've been serving clients both on a corporate level, on a tax level, and on a planning level for well over 25 years.
Awesome. Well, let me ask you a quick question. You said you've been doing this together for about 30 years now?
Yes.
Okay. In this age of where, especially with the way the economy has went, a lot of companies have went out, especially the small business. And you would be considered small business,
yes.
Correct? So what do you think is the reason for your longevity in the business of finance? Because as everybody knows, when 2008 came, it was like 1929 all over again for some people. Yeah,
Well,
I lost a lot too. I'm sure you remember that.
Yes, well, a lot of people did. But there's two things that are certain in life, and death and taxes. So we are on the tax side and the financial planning side of our practice. And what we do, as Dawn says, we serve our clients on an individual basis. We get to know them like yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
And our clients stay with us.
Yes, like me.
Like you. And we get continued referrals from our clients.
Yes.
And that's how we've grown the business. From the two of us, we now have 10 employees that work in our office as well. Yes.
Yes, and every client is different. So there's not a cookie cutter approach with every client. You have to sit, you have to listen to them, and you have to grow with them. You have to understand what their needs are today and what their needs are tomorrow.
That's very interesting you say that every client is different. There's no cookie cutter way, because just like in education as a teacher, every student is different. You know, even though we group them in different, you know, have different groupings, whether they're level 1 or 2, every student in my class is different. So if I have a class of 25, I have 25 little individuals that have their own personality, their own way of doing and learning, and I have to get to know that so I can best serve them. Like you serve your clients, I have my clients.
It's important to get the client to understand the value of patience.
Yes, and in this quick microwave well, it's MTV, I'm going back further, but in this quick, you know, instant gratification society that we live in, you know, people want results right away, or they don't want to wait. I guess everybody would be, ecstatic if they got 8% return, or, you know, better than 3%. I guess that's the average on like certain investments and stuff like that. But, you know, to get double-digit returns is something that everybody expects. And unfortunately, that's just not the way the world works. That's not the way finance works.
The world has changed.
Yes.
And it's not like the 90s, the roaring 90s, when we had the dot-com bust right in 2000. So a lot has changed in the last 20 years.
Okay. Well, that is good. I mean, I love the way you've told us what it is you do. And actually, you've been, I guess, teaching financial literacy way before it became in vogue.
Yes.
So we're going to stop right now. I'm going to go to break. But when we come back, I'm going to have questions for you both, so you can tell us how we can become more financially literate, and maybe some pitfalls, you know, highlight some pitfalls that most people make, common mistakes. So we're going to ask those questions of you when we come back. Audience, stay tuned. Get that pen, get that paper, or your smart tablet, whatever it is you write on nowadays, because this information is information that you do not want to miss. Stay with us.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Alvin and the Chipmunks want to remind you, bacteria can hide in food and make you ill.
Wow.
But you can keep bacteria from ruining your day with 4 simple steps. Clean.
I'm waiting for the ring cycle.
Separate. Cook.
Fire in the hole!
And chill.
We chipmunks are notoriously tidy.
Check your steps. The road trip to food safety starts at foodsafety.gov.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
And welcome back. Now it is time for those questions. So I'm going to be grilling my guests.
Grilling?
No, I'm just asking questions because we want to know how to become more financially literate. So the first thing I want to ask, and I'm pretty sure you've seen a lot, what are some common mistakes that people make concerning their finances?
Well, one of the biggest mistake that most people will do is overspending. when they spend more than they bring in.
There it is.
And run up their credit card debts. That's two significant areas.
And along those lines, not setting and keeping a budget.
Now, I've heard the phrase like need versus want. What is the difference between need versus necessity? Because if you need it, isn't it necessary?
If you need something, it is necessary. If you want something, though, I just want it. Well, it's not necessarily a necessity. So you have to break down, what do I really need versus what's I guess a better way to put it is, what's a nice to have versus a need.
Okay.
You know, a nice car would be certainly a nice to have, but a functional car would be really a need.
Right.
It's like when I was growing up, you've seen it, my little 89 Chevy Kostka, that thing took me through, whoo. And my mother said, Veronica, it is time for you to step into the new millennium. Get out of the 80s. I mean, we were well past the 90s into the 2000s, but that car was reliable. It never did anything. You know, all I needed was something to get me to A to B. However, when it was time, unfortunately, I had a little, you know, fender bender. No, it wasn't fender bender. The door got hit. It was like, okay, now I should get a car because it is time to step into the new millennium. But I went straight to a luxury car.
Right.
You know which one I have.
You made the jump.
Yeah. But I will say, because I did need a car, now it is a necessity because, you know, I drive back and forth to work. However, maybe I didn't have to get that car, but I got such a great deal on it, you know, end of the year to try to get rid of things, that it worked out great for me.
Well, knowing you also, the other thing you had done over those years when you were driving the Corsica is you were saving.
Yes.
And you had some money that you could use.
Yes. Yes. I'm always about, my thing is I'm always about stashes. I liken it to like chipmunks or squirrels. They have stashes of nuts here and there. And I always talk about my different stashes.
And that's really important, those stashes, because if you have a car, you need to save money or stash money, because sooner or later you're going to have repairs. If you own a home, you have to stash money because sooner or later you're going to need a new roof or you're going to need a new furnace. So savings is extremely important, and it's one of the mistakes most people make, because what they'll do is spend their paycheck. If you spend your paycheck, there's nothing left over to stash.
Exactly. And I can just say from personal experience, you know, there's been a couple times where, you know, there are some home things that need to be fixed, and I usually don't. As I've gotten older, I've tried to stay away from credit. I just want to pay cash for it, especially since I got rid of, you know, all of my credit card debt. That, you know, having those stashes just made it, you know, I set my budget, do my research, and then pay cash for whatever it is I decide to purchase. So, you know, what you're saying really resonates with me in that respect. So yeah, feel free to use that stashes with your clients.
We will.
Okay. Now, next question. What can people do to become more financially literate? Now, when we talk about financially literate, we mean becoming more educated in the world of finance. You know, being, you know, not just learning about it, but also being able to apply what it is you learn to your everyday life. So, but what can people do to become more financially literate? Like maybe they're sitting at home looking at you, listening to you, and say, well, I do some of the things that they're talking about, but what else can I do?
It would be also good to sit down with an accountant or certified financial planner and talk about your personal finance and find out where you are, where you can go, what you need to do, how much debt do you have, is there school loans that you have to worry about. There's a lot there that a financial planner can walk through with you that will help guide you and teach you what you need to know.
Yeah, we'll be talking about them student loans, those graduate student loans in a year or two.
And if you're talking about debt, it's very important to understand the difference in debt, because there's good debt and there's bad debt.
Absolutely.
A good debt would be, I'm going to buy a house. You put your 20% down, and then you have to borrow. And that's that kind of debt, you're building an asset. A bad type of debt is running up credit card debt. You know, you're in the store, you see a lot of things, you buy those things, and then you don't pay your bill off in full at the end of the month. And you're charged an exorbitant amount of interest.
Yes. But you said something in your answer that I thought was quite interesting when you talked about, you know, building an asset. So you always talk about, and that's guessing your word, you're talking about assets versus liabilities.
Yes.
So
Assets are good.
Yes.
Liabilities
are bad. So you want to minimize as liabilities as much as you can and maximize your assets. So assets are, what's the definition that you use?
An asset is cash. It's your bank account, your savings account, your mutual funds, your investments that you have, or your house. Those are assets.
Okay, those are assets. So, and because I'm going with the car thing, and when I talk to the dealers, when they quote me a price that's outside my budget, I keep telling, I say, yo, this is a liability. This particular item is a liability. It is not an asset. It does nothing to, enhance my portfolio.
No.
Right.
And then if you're going to be borrowing money, that loan becomes the liability. It's an obligation that you have every month.
Now that's considered bad debt because it is a liability, correct?
Well, not necessarily. Not in this case, because you're offsetting, you're using the bank's money to buy a car. So the car is the asset. You have the loan to offset that. So the net sum between the two is zero. So it hasn't negatively affected you. So you need to pay down the loan.
Right.
And when the loan finally gets paid off, you have the car, which even if you held it for 10 years, you could sell it for a little bit of money. And that's an asset.
So a car, so I considered it when I was talking to the dealers a liability, but from your definition, what I'm hearing is that a car can be an asset?
The car is the asset, the loan is the liability, and you want to try to make sure that the loan gets paid down before you lose the value on your car. If the car all of a sudden is in an accident and it becomes worthless, then you've got bad debt, because you got to pay off the loan.
And I think the other thing that's really important in that process, we all need a car. We all need a means to get from point A to B.
Right.
What is real important, though, is how much do we want to spend on that transportation, and how much can we really afford? Because if we take on a car loan that stretches our paycheck right to the end, we've got a potential problem there. So you need to be prudent in terms of how you spend your money when you buy something like an automobile, because an automobile depreciates over time.
As soon as you drive off the lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, well that is good. So let me move on to another question. And I want to ask you about misconceptions. I know as a teacher, one of the things they instill in us is to, when we're ever introducing a new topic or talking to other students about a topic, we first want to find out if they have any misconceptions. You know, what their perceptions are of things, and if any of them are misconceptions. Because that's what we want to correct as teachers. So what do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about money? Because, you know, you hear stuff, money is the root of all evil. I said, no, I don't think so. Money is not the root of all evil. Money is how people perceive it and how they use it that could be, you know, of evil intent or of evil nature. But money in and of itself is just a piece of paper.
Well, money is a commodity that you need to understand how it works and what you need to do. If you are out there borrowing money on your credit card and you don't earn enough to pay that off, that's when money on the credit card will hurt you, because your credit card debt will ultimately drown you in terms of being able to pay it back.
So when you guys are in your office and you're talking to your clients, and again, you're talking to them, asking them questions to try to see how they feel about things, what have you heard as far as like misconceptions? Like, not saying that you say something, you'd be like, no, not like me when a student says something, like, no, but you know, you hear things and you're like, no, that's not really true, and maybe I need to educate you on something.
Well, one of the things you said earlier about an 8% return on your investments, that's not around today. That's a misconception.
Okay.
So you can earn positive returns in most investments. There are some that do not, but the reality is you have to understand what you're investing in and understanding what the return is going to be.
Okay.
Another misconception is the returns that you get, they're not always going to be positive.
Oh.
The market goes up and the market goes down. So you can't count on positive gains year in and year out. That's just not going to happen.
So in other words, if I'm hearing you correctly, like even when you lose money, that's a return, but it just is a negative one.
Correct.
Well,
it's a negative return for that period.
For that period, okay.
And on the investment, if you don't liquidate it, if you don't sell it, and you wait for the market to turn positive again, then you're good.
Sell, sell, sell.
No, you hold. Hold.
And that's where the value of patience comes in,
Right.
because the market will go through periods of ups and downs. That much you can guarantee. But beyond that, when the market does go down, it's more times than not, it's prudent to hold and wait for the market to recover.
So you gotta
patience.
know when to hold them,
Patience.
know when to
Yes.
fold them, and know when to walk away.
Yes. The other thing that's important is always to buy quality.
Yes, I'm all about the quality. Quality over quantity. You know, to me, it makes no sense. You know me. I love shoes. I love shoes. Unfortunately, when you wear a size 10, you know, it kind of is hard to find, you know, what you want all the time. And I know my mom would always tell me, Veronica, your feet are too big to wear shoes that are not of good quality and that, you know, don't look good. So even though I have a lot of shoes, I do take the time to find quality shoes and invest in that. It takes a little bit more money. I remember when I was in high school, quick story, we had to wear loafers. And again, so everybody had the, you know, penny loafers. And I thought they were so cute. I love them, but guess what? Obviously, they didn't work for my big size 10 feet. I've been a size 10 since I was 10. So anyway, but my mom did invest in another type of loafer made by another company, very reputable, how I'm going to say. But those shoes lasted me all through high school, so 4 years of high school. Then I turned them over to my mother, and they became her driving shoes. She resold them because they were leather. And, I mean, those shoes might still be around today. So, you know, that's what quality matters.
And you got good utility out of them.
Yes, great utility.
Yeah.
Okay, another quick question. When should people start learning about how to become financially literate?
Today.
Ha! Good.
Yes.
Like yesterday, like as of yesterday sometimes?
Yes.
Well, you said that you're teaching your students.
Yeah, no, I don't teach it particularly, but that is a
in
class,
school.
yes.
Right, in school.
It's part of the New Jersey curriculum.
Correct. And so the state recognized that high school is the right place to start. When my younger daughter was in high school, I went in and participated in a personal finance class with her math teacher to teach the kids in the class about personal finance. You're never too young, even with the youngsters, to open up kiddie accounts and show kids how to put money into the bank and then watch the interest that the bank pays you to teach them the power of earning.
And as a teacher at your level, one of the things that's really important to teach the kids and to teach everyone is how to reconcile their own bank account. Why that's really important is when you go through that process, you see the deposits coming in, you see the disbursements going out. You want to check them to make sure that all of the disbursements going out are the way you wanted them to go out, they're correct. And you want to go through your bank account just to make sure that everything that's in there is proper, because mistakes do happen.
Exactly.
And the only way you're going to catch it is by going through it.
And the other thing on literacy is those that people that use credit cards. Look at your statement very carefully every month.
You know, I mean, I guess I should save some trees, but I want my paper statement. I mean, I guess it's the same thing. I could look at it online, but actually holding it and looking at it in my hand and actually filing it away, to me, that forces me to look at it, see if anything is, you know, improper, and then, you know, adjust accordingly. But seeing that paper, you know, looking at that statement every month is important. Plus, but I like it when I don't have a statement, because it means it's all
The other thing about looking at it too is if, you know, credit card fraud is rampant. And by looking at it, verifying that the transactions are yours and not somebody else using your number.
Yeah, even though they have great fraud protections, a lot of banks do, it's nothing like, they can't catch everything, and you're not their only client. So, and like, it's up to you. So just like when we teach educationally, when I'm telling students, hey, yeah, I can teach you whatever the topic is, but it's still up to you to learn it and to go further if you need to. You know, the same thing applies.
Right.
All right. Well, that was awesome. You A+ on the questions. A+ on the questions. So we're going to stop right now, and now is the time for What is Veronica Thinking? And I am thinking about one thing today. I am thinking about money. You know, that we need it, that we have to have it. I mean, those are some of the lyrics from a song that some of you from the DMV area might know about. But just the importance of money and being financially literate. If you are not financially literate, you can end up in a bad place financially. And I know I'm being very generic, but what I mean is that you may not make the correct decisions that will move you forward financially. The CDC, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, has always said that, or has pointed out that people are living longer. And believe it or not, Social Security wasn't meant to last for so long, because back at the time when they created it, people weren't living as long as they were now. So it was hard for the people that created to think that far ahead and say, hey, people are going to be living into their 90s, into their hundreds, you know, definitely well into their 80s, because the average life expectancy in the United States is about 77 for both men and women. So it is important to be financially literate, because you want to have money when in your golden years. You want to be able to travel. You want to be able to live a good quality of life. So become financially literate now. It is never too late. If you're 5, parents, start now. Even if they want, you can start. I remember my niece, when I came home from overseas trip, you know, I brought back the money, the foreign money, and I gave it to my niece. My niece looked at me and was like, what? Where the paper stuff? Where's the paper money? So again, the kids, they know. So start now. And if you're a little bit older, it's never too late. Don't panic. Get with a CPA, a CFP, Certified Financial Planner, and talk about it. Set some goals, and you'll be a lot better than you were today. And when they say more money, more problems, I say less money, more problems. So anything you want to add to what is Veronica thinking?
Well, less money, more problems is a serious problem.
Yes, it is.
And that's what we try to help our clients work through. But to save, that's really the key.
Save, save, save.
Yeah.
And as soon as you start your first job, as soon as you're eligible to sign up for your 401k, do it.
Yes, that's one of the first things I did. I think I told you about that. All right, well, thank you again for coming. You've given a lot of great information. I know I've learned a lot. You know, some misconceptions that I may have had, or my thinking may have been off, I've corrected it. I hope our audience has enjoyed it and has learned a lot. And maybe one day we'll get you to come back.
Maybe we would love to. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you again for coming, and thank you for watching the Veronica Harris Show. We will see you again next time.